Today, we're heading to Poveglia Island, a little speck of land in Italy's Venetian Lagoon. But listen, this is not your typical tourist getaway. This is a place with a reputation so dark, so genuinely terrifying, that it's been completely sealed off from the rest of the world.
And I want you to really think about that. This isn't just some campfire story. We're talking about an island that has basically become a synonym for death. Its history isn't written in ink, it's written in bone and ash and in pure suffering. That's the heavy, dark shadow Poveglia casts.
And the local legend? Well, it's about as blunt as it gets. Once you set foot on Poveglia, you don't leave. The story goes that the island itself, it claims you. You just become another ghost in its horrifying collection. But here is where the story takes a turn, because there's a little crack in that perfect, terrifying legend. According to the tale, one person, just one, actually made it out alive. And his story? Well, that's what we're about to get into. So let's meet our guy Matthew. He's a young fisherman from Venice, and he's got big ambitions. He's new to the game, he's got a family to feed, and he's desperate to make a name for himself. You know the type, that kind of drive that walks a very fine line between being brave and being just plain reckless. All the older fishermen, the guys who had seen everything, they tried to warn him. They'd pull him aside and whisper about Poveglia. They told him, look, this place is cursed. It's so dangerous that the actual Italian government made it illegal to go there. The advice was simple, stay away. And Matthew, he listened. He nodded his head, promised he wouldn't go anywhere near it. But you can just see the gears turning in his mind, can't you? This dangerous little thought started to grow. If no one fishes in the waters around that island, imagine the catch. It could be the score of a lifetime. And that temptation, well, it was powerful. And so ambition won out. Matthew pointed his little boat straight into those forbidden waters. But the sea can be cruel. Out of nowhere, this violent storm just exploded around him. His boat was tossed around like a toy until it completely shattered, throwing him into the dark, churning water, and washing him up on the shore of the one place he was warned never, ever to go. He wakes up on the beach, bruised, lost, surrounded by nothing but ruins. He's completely stranded. But then he hears it, a faint but clear sound, the ringing of a bell. In a place that's supposed to be deserted, a bell means life. A bell means people. So, filled with a little bit of hope, he staggers to his feet and follows the sound, deeper and deeper into the island's creepy interior. He follows the sound until he sees the strangest thing, an old man sitting calmly on a chair in a perfectly clean white doctor's coat, right in the middle of all this decay. The man is kind, sees Matthew is hurt, and offers to treat his injuries. And then he leads him to something that makes absolutely no sense, a huge, fully lit, and bustling modern hospital. As the doctor guides him through the busy wards, Matthew starts to get this really bad feeling in the pit of his stomach. He notices the other patients. They aren't just looking at him with curiosity. No, they're staring with these wide, horrified eyes. It's not a look of concern. It's a look of pure, absolute terror, as if they already know what's about to happen to him. The doctor leads Matthew into an examination room, telling him not to worry that this part of the hospital is perfectly safe. But Matthew can't shake that feeling. He glances back one last time at those terrified patients. And in that single moment, his entire reality just completely falls apart. It was like he blinked, and in that instant, the bright, busy hospital was gone. In its place was a filthy, crumbling ruin. All the doctors and nurses he thought he saw vanished. He was alone. And the wards full of patients, he realized with dawning horror, were actually halls piled high with human skeletons. And then the doctor reappears, but he's wrong. His white coat is now stained with what looks like old, dried blood. His arms and legs are bent at impossible, broken angles. And his voice sounds like it's echoing from a grave as he tells Matthew the truth. He's a ghost, and Matthew is about to become his newest patient. Matthew doesn't hesitate. He just runs. He bolts out of the room, out of the building, sprinting for his life. And as he bursts through the main entrance, he glances up and sees a faded old sign. It didn't just say hospital. It said manicomio. It was an asylum, a mental asylum. And somehow that made everything 1,000 times worse. You see, the island's horror is layered.
Long before the asylum, back in the 18th century, Poveglia was a quarantine station for plague victims, basically a place to dump the dying. Tens of thousands of people were left here and buried in mass graves. Then, in 1922, they built the asylum. By the 1930s, it had become the personal playground for a sadistic doctor who performed unspeakable experiments on his patients. But the island, it seems, took its revenge. The story goes that the doctor was so tormented by the ghosts of his victims that he went completely mad and threw himself off the top of the very same bell tower whose ghostly ring lured Matthew in. So now, knowing the sheer evil of the place, Matthew runs for his life back towards the water. He can feel the ghosts of the doctor behind him, the eyes of countless other spirits all around him. He has to get off this island. He just has to. As he's sprinting through the overgrown fields, he hears this awful sound with every single step, a crunching noise. And he realizes in horror that the island's soil is so full of human remains from the plague pits, he's literally running across a field of skeletons. He finally makes it to the beach, totally desperate, with nowhere left to go. And then, like a miracle, he sees a light out on the water, a boat. He screams, he waves his arms, he does everything he can. And they see him. The boat turns, comes toward the island, and pulls him away from the absolute nightmare. Aboard the fishing boat, the men who saved him are just in total disbelief. They look from Matthew's terrified face back to the dark silhouette of Poveglia Island. Finally, one of them just shakes his head and whispers, "You are so lucky. No one ever comes back from there." And as the boat pulls away, taking him back to safety, Matthew looks back one last time. Faintly, he can still hear it, the clear, rhythmic ringing of the bell. But as his eyes focus on the bell tower against the sky, he sees the final, impossible truth. The belfry is empty. There is no bell. There hasn't been one for decades. Matthew's story is such a chilling reminder that some places are just soaked through with tragedy. And it leaves you with this lingering question, doesn't it? When you visit a place, you see what's there in the present. But what about all the history, all the pain, all the memories that were left behind? How can you ever be truly sure that they aren't still there, waiting right beside you?